Picture this: a glimmer of hope flickering amidst the ruins of a 2-year conflict in Gaza, where a shaky ceasefire has brought home the last of the living hostages and freed hundreds of Palestinians. But the agonizing unknowns about those who didn't survive still weigh heavily on everyone's hearts. It's a moment of bittersweet relief, yet one that begs deeper questions about justice, healing, and the path forward. But here's where it gets controversial. As families celebrate reunions, the unresolved mysteries surrounding the deceased hostages threaten to unravel the fragile peace, sparking debates over accountability and the true cost of this deal. Let's break it down step by step to make sense of the situation, even for those just catching up on the details. On Tuesday, the delicate truce in the Israel-Hamas war held steady, following Monday's wave of emotion when the final 20 living hostages returned to Israel. In exchange, hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and detainees were released from Israeli custody. This exchange was the first phase of a ceasefire brokered by U.S. President Donald Trump, a deal hailed as a potential turning point by world leaders gathered in Egypt for a summit on Gaza's future. Trump himself called it, "The first steps to peace are always the hardest," positioning it as the end of the war and the beginning of rebuilding efforts. Representatives from Israel or Hamas weren't present at that meeting, which focused on urging regional leaders to put old feuds aside for lasting stability. But here's the part most people miss. While the living hostages are now receiving medical care, with some families noting it could take weeks for them to fully recover and return home, the fate of the 24 hostages believed to have died in Gaza remains shrouded in uncertainty. Only 4 of these deceased individuals were handed over to Israeli authorities on Monday as part of the deal. By Tuesday, the Israeli military had identified 2 of them: Guy Iluz, an Israeli man, and Bipin Joshi, a student from Nepal. Both were in their 20s when Hamas-led militants abducted them during the October 7, 2023 attack that sparked the war. Iluz from the Nova Music Festival and Joshi from a nearby bomb shelter. Israel reported that Iluz succumbed to untreated injuries while captive, and Joshi was killed early in the conflict. The National Center of Forensic Medicine is expected to confirm the exact causes of death later. Adding to the complexity, the freed Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza also faced health challenges, with several needing hospital treatment upon arrival. On a separate note, the Israeli military reported an incident in northern Gaza where troops fired to neutralize a threat from people approaching them across what's known as the Yellow Line, a demarcation where Israeli forces were positioned in August before their recent offensive on Gaza City, and not stopping as ordered. The military didn't immediately disclose any casualties, but this underscores the ongoing sensitivities in the region. Zooming out, the long-term picture is even more intricate. The ceasefire includes Israel's withdrawal in Gaza to that same Yellow Line. But bigger questions loom. Will Hamas disarm? Who will govern and aid in rebuilding the devastated territory? And at the heart of it all is the contentious issue of Palestinian statehood, which resonates deeply with Palestinians and many regional nations. It's a topic that divides opinions. Some see it as essential for true peace, while others argue it complicates security concerns. Trump's summit didn't shy away from these challenges, emphasizing the need for international cooperation. To put the scale into perspective, the UN Development Agency, alongside the European Union and World Bank, estimates that a staggering $70 billion will be required to reconstruct Gaza. UNDP's special representative, Jaco Sillers, specified that $20 billion is needed in the next 3 years alone, with the remainder stretching over decades. This rebuilding effort isn't just about infrastructure, it's about restoring lives shattered by the conflict, like schools, homes, and economies. As we reflect on this pivotal moment, it's hard not to wonder, is this ceasefire truly a step toward enduring peace, or just a temporary pause in a cycle of tension? What do you think? Should Hamas be required to disarm fully before further negotiations, Or is that an unrealistic demand in such a fraught environment? And on the bigger stage, can Palestinian statehood ever bridge the divide between security fears and human rights aspirations? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's discuss this openly and respectfully. After all, understanding different perspectives is key to navigating such a complex crisis.